exercises in this lesson. After each of our sentences, do a little toe touch. I have run in this race many times.
I have run in this race many times.
Tom ran in the race yesterday.
Tom ran in the race yesterday.
He ran the note over to his father's store.
He ran the note over to his father's store.
Have you eaten your lunch yet?
Have you eaten your lunch yet?
Marie has eaten her 4th sandwich.
Marie has eaten her 4th sandwich.
Marie must be hungry, you think. Who has eaten my candy bar?
Who has eaten my candy bar?
Mom has thrown my old shirt away.
Mom has thrown my old shirt away.
Who threw my book in here?
Who threw my book in here?
As we continue, students, here, I'd like you to face the students watching. Give them your smile. You don't need to toe touch after these sentences. Just keep smiling at our friends watching. He has thrown our paper on the roof again.
He has thrown our paper on the roof again.
How many times has he thrown it there?
How many times has he thrown it there?
Give your smile back up to me at the front of the room. Thank you for that nice smile, Emily. How do I find the simple subject? Tell me, starting with the title. Finding simple subjects. Find the verb first. Ask who or what before the verb. Read the subject and the verb together. Be seated, please. And in this lesson, we get to think more about finding subjects and verbs in sentences. It was enjoyable to take a couple of days of break from subjects to write a book report. Students watching, your on-site teacher will want to collect that from you today and grade it. But now we get to think more about finding subjects and verbs in sentences. Let me see what you know today. Looking at these sentences here that are on our easel, I want you to follow the steps to finding our sentence parts. Find the verb first. Jay?
Diagram.
Good finding. Read, ask who or what before the verb. Emily?
Who diagram?
Who or what diagram. Now let's answer that sentence and find the simple subject. Who or what diagrammed, Sierra?
Students.
You found it quickly. Now read the subject and the verb together. Nathan?
Students diagram.
Excellent job. We didn't miss a single thing on that sentence. Read this sentence to yourself. Find the verb first. Andres?
Were blown.
Oh, I'm glad you found that whole verb phrase. Ask who or what before the verb. Paige?
Who or what were? Trees.
No, let's read the whole verb phrase together.
Who or what trees were blown?
No, who or what were blown is what we're looking for.
Trees.
No, I want you to say what I just said. Who or what were blown?
Who or what were blown?
That's how we read, that's how we ask who or what before the verb. Now, let's answer that question. Who or what were blown, Lawrence?
Trees.
Read the subject and the verb together. Rayanne?
Trees were blown.
And we know that trees were blown makes sense. Read this sentence to yourself. Find the verb first, students watching. Josiah?
I was said, go wicked.
Josiah, my question to you was find the verb first.
Wicked.
I disagree. Can you wicked something, Josiah? No, listen to my questions and think. Can you wicked something?
No.
No, so wicked is not an action word. It should not be chosen as a verb. Now let's find an action or a memorized verb.
Set.
Now that's an action word. That's something you could do. Find a helping verb.
Will.
And so your whole verb phrase is?
Will set.
Will set is the verb. Ask who or what before the verb. Layla?
Who or what will set?
Now let's answer that question and find the simple subject. Who or what will set, girls watching? Riley?
I will set.
You are exactly right, and she even read the subject and the verb together. I will set. Read this sentence silently to yourself. Find the verb first, Minhai.
Like.
That's part. Now let's look for a helping verb.
Would like.
You're correct. Remember when we have that interrogative kind of sentence, we will often find part of the verb at the beginning of the sentence. Let's read the verb with, let's ask who or what before the verb. Lois?
Who or what would anyone like?
Anyone was not part of our verb phrase. You were right to say who or what, but then we only want the verb phrase after that. Who or what would like is how we ask who or what before the verb. That will lead us to finding the subject of our sentence, the simple subject. Who or what would like? Parker?
And anyone?
You're right. Now let's read the subject and the verb together, and we'll do it all together. Ready? Anyone would like. One more time. Anyone would like. Let's do another sentence. Find the verb first. Boys watching? Kush? We're looking for an action word or a memorized verb.
His.
His. Can you his?
Does.
Does is the verb of our sentence. That was find the verb first. Now let's ask who or what before the verb. Maddie?
Who or what does?
Answer that question to find the simple subject. Students watching? Who or what does, students here?
Ethan.
Let's read the subject and the verb together. Begin. Ethan does. Now I want you to read this sentence to yourself. You're going to do the work in your brain. Find the verb first. Ask who or what before the verb. Answer that question and find your simple subject. And I'm ready to hear the subject and the verb together. Gage?
Flow is our verb, and rivers is the simple subject. Rivers flow.
Excellent job, Gage. Do the same thing again here. Find the verb first. Ask who or what before the verb. Answer that question to find the simple subject. Now when I call on you, I want you to read the subject and the verb together. Students watching? Gabrielle?
Father reads.
Excellent job, Gabrielle. I do want you to read your answer one more time loudly for us.
Father reads.
Last sentence to try. Maddie, find the verb first. Ask who or what before the verb. Answer the question to find your subject. Silently read your subject and your verb together to make sure it makes sense. And now let's hear what you have found. Sarah.
Warriors are winning.
Excellent job. Did you find that whole verb phrase like Sarah did, are winning? And she asked who or what to find that warriors are winning. Nicely done, Sarah. Let's stand together. If you will follow those 3 simple steps to finding the simple subject, you won't go wrong. Let's practice those steps starting with the title. Finding simple subjects. Find the verb first. Ask who or what before the verb. Read the subject and the verb together. Be seated. Sometimes the subject, it comes right at the very beginning of the sentence, doesn't it? It makes it very easy to spot. Have you ever played a game before where there are things hidden around and you have to go maybe like a scavenger hunt kind of a thing? You have to go find those things that are hidden. And sometimes you look out. I'm thinking of a time that our family has done this before in a neighbor's backyard where they hid things all around the backyard. And the children had to go in the backyard and find the things, and they had some baskets or buckets that they could put what they found in. And sometimes those objects were not hidden very much. They were just kind of right out in the open and everybody could see them. But sometimes it was a little bit tougher to find them. They might have been under some leaves of a bush or in a little hole in the ground that you couldn't even see from far away. You could only see it when you were standing right on top of it. Well, sometimes hunting for a subject is a little bit like hunting for those hidden objects. You know, sometimes it's right at the beginning of the sentence where it's easy to spot and you don't even really have to think very hard about it at all. Sometimes you have to look a little bit deeper. Take a look with me at the sentences here and let's take them apart a bit and see if we can find the subject and the verb. Even though in these sentences the subjects are a little bit more hidden, we still follow the same 3 steps and we will easily find what we need to find. My first sentence says, during the flag salute, Paul kept his hand over his heart. Find the verb first. Gage?
Kept.
Kept is our verb. I'll underline it 2 times. That was find the verb first. Ask who or what before the verb. Let's do that part together. Who or what kept? One more time. Who or what kept? Answer that question and find the simple subject. Kaylani?
Paul.
Paul is the simple subject. Now let's read the subject and the verb together to test if it makes sense. Sarah?
all catch.
And that does sound sensible to me. Look at all those words we had at the beginning of the sentence. If we were just being lazy, we might underline something at the beginning of the sentence, hoping that the subject was easy to spot there. But in this sentence, it wasn't. Was it hard to find, though? Yes or no?
No.
Oh, I was hoping you would say no. By following those 3 simple steps, it is easy to find the subject, even if we have to dig a little bit in the sentence and it's not right at the beginning of the sentence. If you're with me, wave at me. You may put your hands down. Give me your smile. Keep your brain with me, and let's look at my second sentence. Let's see how quickly we can follow those steps to find the simple subject, Jay. My sentence says, after the calisthenics, the boys were hot and tired. Find the verb first. Layla? Where is the verb? Layla, I'm glad that you thought it through and you stopped right there. I thought I might get somebody on this sentence, and that maybe Layla or another student I called on would say, we're hot. Can you hot? No. So Layla knew when she thought it through. Hot is not an action, so I should not choose it as my verb. You thought carefully. Good job, Layla. Where is our verb? Ask who or what before the verb. Let's do that part out loud together. Who or what were? Answer that question and you will find the simple subject. Who or what were, Paige?
Boys.
That is correct, and I'll underline it one time as our subject. Read the subject and the verb together, Cush.
Boys were.
And that is a good sentence. I'm glad that we followed those steps and didn't just randomly underline. Do you know what calisthenics are? Do you know, Sarah?
Exercises.
It is a kind of exercise. What if we just weren't thinking very hard, not doing our best, and we just underlined calisthenics as the subject of our sentence? Then I want you to read that subject and verb together. Calisthenics were hot and tired. Calisthenics were? Is that the idea of our sentence? Well, no, the calisthenics are just exercises. They can't get hot and tired. People get hot and tired. So by following our steps, we don't make mistakes. Now it's your turn to open your language books and find some simple subjects. Go to page 134. We're going to get lots of practice at finding those subjects and verbs. At the blue box at the top of the page, there's some help there with digging into the sentence and reminding to find the verb first. Oh, do you see the look closely box? It's got an eagle by it. When the eagle tells us to look closely, we better look closely. Jay, read that question for us in the yellow box.
Are you finding the verb first and then the subject?
You know, sometimes students they get going really fast and they forget to follow the right order and they find the subject first. And I tell you, that turns into mistakes really easily. And we don't want that, so we follow our steps. Steps are easy and we always get the right answer that way. Our instructions for Think A say to identify the italicized word by writing subject or verb in the blank. Number 1, read that sentence for us, Josiah.
People come to the United States from many foreign lands.
Okay, now right now, put your pencil down for just a minute. I know that some students somewhere in this room or somewhere students watching, maybe seated, Josiah, somebody just thought really fast, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and do I pick subject or do I pick verb? Oh, I just pick one and I write it in the blank. But no, how do I know if this is a subject or a verb? I find the verb first. I ask who or what about the verb, and then I found my simple subject and I can read it with the verb and it will make sense. We find our answers to this section the same way we have found subjects and verbs so far. So in that sentence Josiah just read for us, find the verb first. Rayanne?
Subject.
Find the verb first.
Come.
Let's underline it 2 times. Who or what come? Lawrence?
People.
People is in bold for us. Does that make people the subject or the verb? Paige?
Subject.
It is, and we write the word subject in the blank. Read sentence number 2 for us, Andres.
After the long winter, robins return to their own home.
Find the verb first. Students watching? Nathan?
Return.
And that's the word that's in bold for us, which means we have found the answer to our question. Write verb in the blank. As a bonus question, can you tell me the subject of the sentence? Who or what returned? Emily?
Robins.
Good thinking. I want you to do numbers 3, 4, and 5, just like we did numbers 1 and 2. Pop up when you're done. Several folks showing me that they are ready to check. You have all right answers, Andres. You may be seated. All right answers. Good job. All right answers. Nicely done. I disagree. No, you've got it. Good. Good job, Sierra. And so neat on your paper. I love it. I disagree with one of your answers. 3 through 5. And you have right answers there, Peniel. I disagree with 2 of your answers. You have them all right. If I've checked yours, you may be seated. Good job. Good. All right, good. Everybody be seated, please. Well, row 5, I didn't come and look at any of your papers. So let's see how you did. Kenton, what did you label for number 3?
Verb.
Loveth is the verb of the sentence. Sarah, number 4?
Verb.
Oh, I disagree. Subject or project is the subject of the sentence. Sarah, let's look more closely at number 4 and see if we can find the word that is the verb. My brother's project won first place in the science fair. Can you find an action word?
1.
1 is the action verb. I can ask who or what. Who or what won?
Project.
And that's how I know that project is the subject of my sentence. Number 5, Gabrielle.
Verb.
Look is a verb in that sentence. Good thinking. Find the subject of that sentence, can you? Who or what? Look. Boys watching? Gage?
Flowers.
You did it. Let's go down to think B. Our instructions say underline each verb 2 times and each subject 1 time. This will remind you of the sentences I just did on the board with you just a moment ago. Read sentence number 1 for us, Peniel.
Cinderella lived many years ago.
Find the verb first. Lois?
Lived.
You're right. Now let's ask who or what before the verb. Let's ask it out loud together. Begin. Who or what lived? Answer that question and you'll find the simple subject. Girls watching? Layla?
Cinderella.
And let's read the subject and the verb together to make sure it makes sense. Begin. Cinderella lived. We have a good subject and verb combination there. Read sentence number 2 for us, Minhai. I want you to read the sentence.
The king announced a ball in honor of his son.
Which word am I going to look for first in this sentence? The subject or the verb? Faith?
The verb.
I want to find the verb first. Faith, what is the verb of that sentence?
Announce.
Good, let's underline it 2 times. Ask who or what before the verb together. Who or what announced? Answer that question and you'll find the simple subject. Kaylani?
King.
King is correct. Let's underline it 1 time as the subject. Read the subject and the verb together. Begin. King announced. Do numbers 3, 4, and 5 on your own. Pop up when you've got them. You're working ahead. Good answers. Be seated. Can you sad? Can you lonely? Was is from our chart. Was is memorized. Am is our was. And sad and lonely aren't on that chart. You're right that you can't was. You may be seated. And this sentence right here, you've got the right words underlined, but it looks like you underlined that one as the verb and that one as the subject. They should be the other way around. Oh, it looks like we're ready to check. Be seated, please. If you followed those steps to find the simple subject, sentences like this should be pretty easy for you. Who says, I found these sentences to be pretty easy? Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Let's hear how you did. Jay, you take sentence number 3. I want you to tell me the subject and the verb together.
Sister's dress.
Perfectly done. Emily, number 4.
Cinderella was.
So far, so good on these. How many of you have numbers 3 and 4 perfectly correct? How about you students watching? Still doing a great job? Sierra, let's come to you for number 5.
Just sparkled.
Excellent work. Any questions on what we've done together so far? All right, put your pencil in your book and close your book. Let's have the last person in each row stand for a little game.